Hello, and welcome to the Who Asked for This podcast, the topical and nonsensical podcast made and hosted by me, John. And today I've got my good friend Jamie here. Hello, Jamie.
Hello, John.
Hi, Jamie. All right.
I'm okay.
So, Jamie is basically me and Jamie were in a band together, and the band was called Saturn Split. Started as a four-piece and then eventually ended as a three-piece, as we will explain. I was the bassist and singer in the band. Jamie, what was your position in Saturn Split?
So I did the guitar and backing vocals as well.
Yeah, we were in this band, and today's episode will basically be kind of a very condensed 5-year history of the band and all the kind of crazy shit that went on with it, all the struggles and the pains. We were an originals band, or local band, as these types of bands are often known. Now, basically what an original band means is that we wrote and performed our own music, whereas a cover band is more like the band that you would see down at your local pub covering well-known popular songs. So let's kind of rewind a bit to about 2018. So I won't go too much into the band I was in before Saturn Split because I kind of want to save that for another episode altogether. But basically, everyone in my previous band had a big falling out, and we'd all decided to kind of pack it in and call it a day. So I started looking for my own band, and I went onto the site, Join My Band, which literally hasn't changed its layout since 2003. And it is also full of very interesting characters. And I basically put an ad out saying, bassist, because at the time that's all I did was play the bass. I never had any intentions of being a singer, and I still don't, to be honest. So I put my ad out, and I think the first person to get in touch with me was yourself, Jamie.
Yeah.
So we got talking on Join My Band, and we kind of arranged to have a jam. Basically, we just kind of played together with the guitars and bounced a few ideas. And then at the same time, I'd got in contact with a singer as well, and she knew a drummer. So I was like, right, well, this is great. We've pretty much got the whole lineup together. So we arranged our first kind of meet, our first kind of practice jam session, and it was fucking shit. Would you agree, Jamie?
I would definitely agree, yeah.
There was a lot of teething problems wrong with it. I did, to be honest, leave that day feeling quite like disheartened and a bit like this isn't going to work out. But I think kind of like the eagerness not to kind of be left out after leaving my last band like encouraged me to stick through it. And obviously I'm glad I did now. But I think, to be honest with you, Jamie, I think the start was quite rough, wasn't it?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were all quite introverted people, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's obviously hard enough. And then I think we were coming from different musical backgrounds as well. I know you're obviously Red Hot Chili Peppers is your favourite band, so that's kind of funk, but you've got a bit of goth in there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And Lisa, was the drummer, was
Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa was just Lisa. She
was like classic rock in that one, like Thin Lizzy and stuff like that.
Yeah, the singer.
She fancied herself as Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, something a bit like that.
Yeah. She obviously liked Nirvana. It was very obvious considering one of the songs that we had was literally a Nirvana song with changed lyrics.
Yeah.
So that was us. That was the band for the start. So to start off, we picked a few covers, which looking back, very bad covers. What were the covers, Jamie? Can you remember?
I've actually got one of our set lists from that time.
Have you?
A picture of it before. I can tell you some of the covers we were doing. One was White T-shirt and jeans.
By a band I've never even heard of. And that was basically like I just said with the Nirvana thing. It was like the same chords as like Pixies Where's My Mind, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think I kind of said for the chorus, let's just do Where's My Mind by the Pixies.
Yeah.
It was just like identical. It was the same chords for the same like song, pattern, structure and all that. Got any of the other songs?
We did Nativity in Black as well, somehow.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Oh, God, that's NIB by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
If anyone's not aware.
Yeah, I've only actually kept one set list from that time. I've got a few more to look at later with a few songs that you might have forgotten. But
I think the biggest highlight, well, when I say highlight, I mean low light, was a cover of David Bowie's "Man Who Sold the World,"
Jesus Christ,
but it was more of a cover of the Nirvana MTV Unplugged's "Man Who Sold the World."
Forgotten about that and blanked it out.
I don't know how you could forget about that one. Like, it seems bad to like sit here now and like slate my own band that we created, but like I think the start was rough, and there was a lot of like patches that needed ironing out. But yeah, they were the songs, and then we had two songs that were written previously by the singer by herself that we just said, well, may as well just use them for the band. As I say, one I mentioned was literally just, it was all about a girl by Nirvana. It was about a girl.
No, that was
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah, that was good as gold. And then there was, was it? Yeah. God, that's something about local bands. There's the term wearing your influences on the sleeve, and a lot of local bands like to wear their influences on their sleeve to the point where it's like very obvious where they've got their songs from. But yeah, going back, so we had them two originals, which were basically just the singer's songs that she brought in from previous like solo recordings and stuff like that, and then
there's one called White Noise.
White Noise, yeah, which was I think a song that I like came up with mostly, like the part that it was kind of like, yeah, it led with the bass, but like it was one of them we could just never really like put lyrics to it. Like it just, anything we tried just never worked. So there was White Noise, which did carry on a bit past that point, but not long after. And then did we do my Cult?
My Cult's on the set list. And,
yeah,
and That Time as well.
My Cult and That Time. So I think My Cult and That Time, both songs written by myself primarily. My Cult was a song written about the Heaven's Gate cult, which is basically a crazy cult that all did mass suicide. And That Time was like kind of just, I don't know, I look back on it and it feels like a very kind of like, not childish song, but like it was very like simplistic in its theme and stuff like that. It was just kind of like the whole looking back to better times kind of thing. It was like a bit soppy, but it worked as a song, didn't it? Yeah, I think it had like a fairly catchy chorus, and again, it was a song that we played still for a bit longer after the singer initially left. So we basically started like crafting the band and getting this set list ready, and we were practicing in practice rooms in like Liverpool and stuff like that. Obviously, as you can imagine, in like a room full of instruments playing loudly, you kind of struggle to like hear what's going on, and you're just trying to focus on your own instrument, aren't you? But there was like an option to kind of pay a little extra for the studio to like kind of just record your session. So we did that. When we listened back to on it, we kind of noticed one major issue, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that was that our singer was just not very good. Now, I would like to point out this time that none of us were like very good at that time. Yeah. We were all still kind of new to the whole thing, but so because of that, like we kind of thought like, well, like we're all kind of learning, we're all like getting used to it. Let's just give it time and hope it improves. And then we kind of booked gigs so we kind of started this in like the late summer, didn't we?
Yeah, it would have been
around September.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I think the first gig, wasn't it a Halloween gig?
Yeah, it was Halloween, so we basically kind of started gigging around like Halloween.
Yeah.
And we played our first Halloween gig in Jupiter Bar, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It was hosted by a quite colourful character who I remember quite well. It was a bit of a bizarre gig because it kind of had us on the lineup, and then it had like just some girl like singing the Dell.
Yeah.
Off like
not doing the high note.
Yeah, off a backing track. And then I can't even remember who else played it. Like, was it just us two? I can't even remember.
I think it was something like that. I think there might have been somebody on after us, but it wasn't like the place was packed full of people waiting to go on.
It wasn't particularly packed, but it was our first gig, and then I think like during the time and after it, we felt like very good about it. Obviously, we found it like quite exciting and whole like new. Like I had played gigs before, but this was kind of like the first gig in this band. The band I'd started, whereas like bands in the past I'd kind of joined later on, so it still felt like quite a high achievement. Yeah. So after that, the next gig was in Southport.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah, I can't. It was like a pub, wasn't it? Basically, and that was a shit show. Like an absolute like. We will get into like bad gigs and good gigs later on, but that was bad.
Yeah, I think it's probably the worst one we did.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was. Jamie, you snapped your string on stage, one of your guitar strings.
Yes, and it took me a few minutes to sort that out. Whilst I was doing that, the singer was just sort of staring at me.
Yeah, that I think that's one thing to mention about the singer is they had zero stage presence, and like as Jamie said earlier on, we're all quite introverted people. We're all quite like socially awkward and a bit shy. But like when you're on a stage and you're performing and you're being an entertainer, like you need at least some level of like charisma and like presence. And it was just so awkward because like Jamie's kind of like near the back by the drums trying to sort his guitar out. The singer's just stood there straight into like the spotlight, just staring.
I remember you start twiddling away as well.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, to do something.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, I just need to do something. Like this is audible. Like we were dying on stage. I remember like coming off the stage of that gig and kind of turning around to the drummer and the singer. I don't know if you were there. But I remember turning around to him and going, that was shit.
Yeah.
And the drummer, God bless her, Lisa, she was like, I thought it went all right, actually.
Yeah, she said to me on the way, because I drove home that night, and she said, yeah, I thought that was a good gig. That did not go well at all. I remember us starting off, I forget what song it was, and people began walking out as soon as the vocals came on. So
yeah, shit, I remember that. There was one point where like some stupid daft like drunk woman started like coming up like dancing right up front of the stage, I think. And then when she started singing, you could see that she was still trying to do it to be like encouraging and nice, but you could see her slowly like
dancing out the door,
dancing out the door, going fucking hell, fucking cat's dying in there. So after that, I was a bit broken, and I was like, oh fuck, like been this last band I was in is like part. I've started this band, and it's just not going right. I'm feeling at this point like should I just pack this all in? Obviously, again, yeah. Well, I think the thing was is like because we were all like so introverted and because we all just didn't know each other that well. I was like sat at home going like I want to sack the singer, but I don't want the others to like disagree with me. And then like we don't sack the singer.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I should just leave and let the other three carry on. So I kind of like plucked up the courage to like message Jamie, and I said to you, didn't I? I said like, look, I'm not happy. I think we should like get rid of this singer.
Yeah.
And thank God you just turned around and yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, how's Lisa gonna take it? Because like the both girls, they knew each other kind of first. They were talking to each other first, and they would always like them two would always kind of like hang out like by themselves. So it was like, what's Lisa? Is Lisa going to turn around to us and say like this is completely like bang out of order, lads? No, Dana stays or I leave. So we kind of nervously like approached Lisa, and we were like, Lisa, we're not happy with the singer. I think that we need to like let her go and look for another singer. And she turned around like, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So all three of us were like, this is all over like on WhatsApp. So all three of us and then made like a new group chat. We were all like, yeah, let's do it. Let's kick the singer out and stuff like that. And we were like, how are we going to do it though? Because it was like, again, back to like the introverted thing, like the singer was very, very like socially awkward. She often looked like she was like just about to like burst into tears at like any point, didn't she?
Yeah.
So we were like, if we do this in person, like I could see this being like a real bad situation, which she's going to get like very upset. So I think we decided to do one last gig and kind of like see it out and see if it would work. We did that gig and it wasn't much better. So I think we kind of said like, right, who's going to be the one to kind of tell her? And we kind of pointed the finger at Jamie because it was like, Jamie's nice. You'll make it sound a lot nicer than I would, Jamie. So you say it. So do you want to explain pretty much what you said and how that went down?
I can't remember if I just tried to work something out or if I wrote out a message.
Yeah, you wrote out a paragraph and you sent it to us first, and you're like, "Does this sound alright, guys?"
Yeah.
And I said, that sounds perfectly reasonable, to be fair. I was like, yeah, fire it over. So you fired it over to her on the band chat, so we all saw it. And then it was just that kind of like hold your breath bit, and you can see that thing at the top, can't you? Where it was like her name typing, and we were like, "Oh fucking hell!" This is bad. And then eventually a big paragraph came on the screen, and it wasn't her; it was her boyfriend. And it was basically him saying, like, "You're all a bunch of fucking rats. I can't believe you've done this. Like, my girlfriend's in like absolute tears, in an absolute state right now. How dare you do all this? Like, the fact that you haven't done it to her face just shows how much you're a bunch of, like, you're a this, you're a that, you're a this, you're a that." So I kind of jumped in to try and cool it down. I was like, "Mate, listen, we didn't do it to her face because, like, we didn't want it to be awkward or like make her feel bad and all that." And then he misinterpreted it as like we were just like, "Oh, we didn't want to feel bad about it." So I was like, "No, like, I meant, like, we didn't want to put her in a situation where she's like got three people around it, basically like telling her, like, you're out of the band." So we were trying to do it in the most diplomatic way possible. Obviously, he didn't take very kindly to it.
Didn't go very well.
No, but I think at that point the bandage was ripped off, and we kind of done what we had to do. It may not have been the nicest thing to do, but we did it, and it had to be done. Otherwise, we would have all just packed it in and quit, pretty much. So after that, I think the plan was to obviously find a new singer, wasn't it, initially? And we did actually like put tryouts for new singers, and we had, I think we had two, didn't we?
There was a girl Lisa knew.
Was there a girl Lisa knew? I don't even remember that.
I remember she had red hair.
Oh no, shit.
She pops up on my social media from time to time.
Mate, I don't even remember that.
And she was a good singer. She could do Black Velvet pretty well.
Oh, it's coming back to me now, yeah. I remember it now, yeah.
She just vanished after the audition.
Yeah, she did one audition, and we I think we just kind of said, like, yeah, you're in. You're tight with Lisa, you're in. And then she was the one who was like trying to like saying, "Oh, we've got like this like charity gig or something like that."
Yeah.
So, like, she obviously seemed keen because she was like, "Oh, I've got a gig for us," and stuff like that. And then, yeah, it was just, she started like kind of like flaking and coming out with all these like excuses, like, "Oh, I can't, come to practice tonight, this, that, and the other." So obviously, in the end, we were just like, right, well, obviously, we're going to have to remove you from the band because you aren't even being in the band. Yeah. I remember this now. She sent like a dead horrible like message to Lisa. Remember that? No, because we cancelled the charity gig. Because we were like, well, obviously we're not playing your gig because we refused to be in the band, yeah. And then I think she kicked off on Lisa, going like, "How dare you do this to me," and all that. I remember Lisa sending it over, and we were just like, like, what the fuck? Like, you did this to yourself. Yeah, man, I completely forgot about that, So there was another of Lisa's friends, which, just didn't fit. We'll just leave it there. And we had this guy from, I can't even remember.
From Manchester.
Was he from Manchester? Yeah. He was like quite quirky and interesting, and like, I don't know, I kind of liked him because he gave me a bit of like placebo vibes. Yeah. But I think same thing. I don't think he was keen on us, to be honest. So we were getting a bit like, although we'd only had like 3 people so far, we were kind of getting a bit burnt out and a bit like, like, oh, this isn't like going well and stuff like that. And I think during like this period of time, you were in here, like, let's just do it, you and me. And I was kind of like, no, because A, I'm not a singer, and B, I've got to play bass and all that at the same time. But it was like, we don't want to like not do anything at all. And if we don't set ourselves like any goals, then nothing's going to happen. So I think basically we kept going to practices and stuff like that, and in the meantime, I'd step up to the mic and start doing the singing, just as kind of like this is what I'll be sound like with a singer. I think at that point it was just, we'll just turn to each other and go, like, this can work as it is, this is fine as it is, and we're a 3-piece, we're cutting off that like extra like kind of reliability of someone.
I think it's one of the problems in a band is like you've got to rely on these people, and musicians are just inherently unreliable people. I've found over 5 years.
Definitely, yeah. We had a gig, and we kept to it. Obviously, we stopped playing the songs that the singer had brought in originally, and we started writing more songs. Obviously, at the time, we were kind of in a bit of a rush to like write songs. So I kind of came up with two kind of quick and easy songs to play, just as kind of like placeholders, like they'll do for this gig. Then after that, we'll write more complex and better songs. So I think the two songs I wrote at the same time was "I Take a While" and "Back."
Yeah.
And "Back" was only ever like intended to be this quick little throw together song that we play at this gig, and then it'd be like scrapped. And we played it at that gig, and like it was fairly it was a good crowd, to be fair, wasn't it?
I can't. What was?
I think it was a decent, like, it wasn't like massive, but it was a decent like amount of people there.
I can't
It
remember the specific gig.
it was in the was it called the Egg Cafe or something like that? I think it was like a vegan restaurant from downstairs, and then upstairs they had the. It was like a punk orientated night, wasn't it?
Manchester.
Yeah, it was in Manchester. Yeah.
That was when I lived in Manchester. That was my local pub. I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, it went down quite well. We did Paranoid that night as well.
Oh, we did. Yeah. The old like everyone would come up to me after the game was like, "Oh, I really like that song. That what was it? The one with the," and then they'd start like saying like the lyrics wrong and stuff like that. And I was like, really? That was like a bit of a rubbish one that I've just written like last week.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's dead good. It's dead good. Was it kind of a bit like I think I'm stuck with this song now, and to this day it is our most popular, well loved song. Anyone that ever approaches us after gigs or who hears us on Spotify and stuff like that always comes up to me and says they love "Back."
Yeah.
And like I've kind of like I've come to terms with it now, and I think I can say I do like it and it's a good song. But for a long period of time, I hated it, especially because it was like so taxing as well on the vocals.
Yeah.
Like it was a real it was kind of like it was just a line repeated, but like obviously it would get more and more like louder and frantic, and then in the end it like end in a scream,
Yeah.
and then like the chorus went straight in from the verse and stuff like that, and it was just like at the end of it I was always like knackered, so it always had to be played early on because it was like if it was played towards the end, I think I would just like blow my voice out. So yeah, after that we became a three piece, and that's kind of how things like went on moving forward from that. So after that we said this is it, it's a three piece now. We carried on like writing songs, and we started gigging a lot more. And then I think back then this was like kind of around 2019, so it was like pre-pandemic and all that. We played pretty like far and wide. So we played in like Manchester, obviously like Liverpool, the town we were from. I think we went all the way up to like Stockport for one gig. I think that was probably the furthest we've been out, isn't it?
Yeah, the Italian band we played with, Peak Jacks, they were
Yeah.
San Marino's entry for Eurovision this year.
Yeah. I remember them. They were great then, weren't they? And there was like, oh god, I can't even remember the other. That's it. We've played alongside so many bands. Like you just
Caper Clowns.
Caper Clowns. That's it. They were from a different country as well.
Denmark.
Yeah, Denmark, and they come like all the way down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we played with a lot of bands, and to be honest, I think most of them like now we've kind of like forgotten.
Yeah.
Which kind of speaks for itself.
I've got a couple of set lists with. I haven't put a date on.
Yeah.
But I think they're from around that time. So we've got Family Values, which came in.
Yeah, Family Values. So that was another kind of like early on. I think I was writing that while the singer was still in the band, but I was kind of like holding on to it a bit because it was like, I want to save that because that's a good song. That song's basically kind of written about like the Manson family, but it's also kind of aimed at like religion and stuff like that as well.
So we've got the cover of Bed Sitter.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we did a soft cell cover of Bed Sitter.
The 20th Century Boy.
Oh shit, yeah, we did play that, didn't we? That wasn't great, that one, to be honest.
No. And then I've got another one which I don't remember what it's from, but that's when Doomsday comes in. And
oh yeah, Doomsday Parade, yeah.
Loop as well. And also
Loop.
A Whole Lot of Rosie. I don't remember us doing that, but it's on the set list. It's got an asterisk next to it, so we didn't end up doing
I don't think we ended up doing that, to be honest. I don't even remember ever like learning that song or knowing that song, so that's probably not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as Jamie mentioned, we kept writing songs. I'd kind of like write them based around like kind of various kind of kind of like, kind of dark kind of subjects, kind of, something I'd find interesting. Like, Doomsday Parade was kind of about the end of the world, but it was like, kind of inspiration from kind of like Cold War and, like the fears around nuclear fallout during that period of time. Hell from Above was kind of like an anti-war song, a bit about Vietnam and a bit about kind of like the 2003 kind of Iraq war on terrorism kind of period of time. So yeah, kind of right. And there was more like personal songs, but I kind of like tried to avoid going like too personal because I kind of felt like it was a bit like, sometimes it's a bit too obvious, you know what I mean? I think one thing, and we kind of spoke about it quite often, that I wanted to always avoid was like going too political as well. Because like there was a lot of bands around us at the time that were like doing very like topical songs, and I always kind of thought that's great at the moment, but in about 5 years' time, no one's going to have a clue what you're talking about. Yeah, kind of outdated. That's why, like, even though, like, stuff like Hell from Above is based on like Vietnam War and stuff like that, I think it's kind of like got a message to it that'll like kind of like always be consistent and valuable. So, not to toot my own horn as a songwriter, but, I did try. So yeah, 2019 was probably like our busiest year, where we were just kind of like non-stop playing gigs. And I think at the back end of it, we started finally doing our first recordings, didn't we? With Lee in, was it like Aku Studios or something like that?
Yeah.
Which was basically some person born in their back garden.
That wasn't his actual house, but
it wasn't his house, but yeah, he rented a barn.
Yeah.
At the back of someone's house,
Yeah.
and he was always like, "You've got to be quiet when you're walking." Like, like, okay, on our way to record some rock music, we'll be quiet, mate. And like, you had to climb up these like ladders, didn't you, to get to the top? And his little mixing room was like tiny. It was good because I'd worked with him before. We recorded "I Take a While" and "Family Values," and we got them out. So we were ready to like release them in like 2020. Family Values was going to be like our first official single, and we'd made like a big thing out of it, and we'd organised a gig that we were going to play for it and all stuff like that. It was one of our best gigs on. It was great. The single came out and it all went well, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then a worldwide pandemic happened.
Something happened in like early.
Yeah. I don't know how much I want to talk about that, because I think like if you talk about stuff too much, like a warning sign comes up on you. On your podcast.
Oh, really?
Like like one of them like fact checker things and stuff like that. Oh. So we'll try and avoid that, to be honest. So a thing happened in 2020 and it was a bit bad. There was no venues open, so we couldn't do anything. We all kind of like lost our minds a bit. And we were just kind of like, we had gigs lined up and plans, and we just kind of cancelled them and went, well, see each other on the other side. Kind of later on in that year, I was getting contacted by a producer who wanted to work with us and record some music. And I was eager for it, but at the same time I was a bit hesitant because there's currently a bad thing going on in the world. I think he wanted a fair bit of money and stuff like that. But he showed a lot of eagerness and a lot of interest in us, and it was, to be honest, like the thing is with this kind of scene is there's a lot of kind of like snake oil salesmen.
Yeah.
A lot of people who just want to get a bit of money out of you and charge you like extraordinary prices, and they'll just kind of kill them out with this like scripted, "I'll do this if you pay me this." This guy Tate, that is his name, isn't it? Tate. Yeah. He was like quite enthusiastic, and he did like give us a lot of time a day, and stuff like that. So we were like, let's do it. Let's. So he was based up in Rochdale, wasn't he? So we drove all the way up to Rochdale and we recorded a track with him, which we recorded back first, didn't we? Recorded back first, but basically because of the bad thing that was going on at the time, we were like, right, we won't release this or do anything with it yet. Let's just like bank it and wait and see what happens to like the world, because we had released "I Take a While" early on into the bad thing. It just got no attention whatsoever. It just kind of like flopped. It was our first flop. So yeah, we kind of banked that, and then we went back again. I think this was it in the same year or early 2021? Because we went back and we did Doomsday Parade.
Got quite a few done in quick succession.
Yeah, so we did a second one. So we had two tracks, and we were just kind of like slowly waiting for things to kind of like change. And it kind of got to a point like 2021 where it was like, right, things are looking better, but we're still not able to gig and stuff like that. Let's save back because it's obviously the more popular track, and let's put out Doomsday Parade.
Yeah.
So I kind of did like a bit of an amateur like homemade music video for it. We tried to make a big thing out of it. Like really pushed it on the social networks and stuff like that. I also was like putting it on like websites and stuff where you can like submit stuff to like producers and promoters and stuff like that. It started like a few radios picked it up and stuff like that. A few like little like homemade radio station kind of things. But that was still like quite like an exciting thing.
Yeah.
Because the problem was is when we recorded Family Values, I swore in the song. So like when I went to like send it off to anyone, they just come back to me and go like, yeah, no swearing. So I was like, shit, we can't, like, this will never get played anywhere. So when we went back to do the other songs, we kind of made sure to, like, not include any, like, bad language into the songs, which didn't swear much in songs anyway, but there was the odd, like, fuck here and there, wasn't there? So we just kind of, like, brushed them out and changed them. Yeah, so, like, 2021, like, the start of it was going quite well. We were releasing these songs and stuff like that. We went in and did more I can't. The timeline's a bit skewy for me, but like we did more songs. At one point, we went in for a music video, and then we parted ways with Lisa, our drummer. So then we were like, right, we need to get back into it, get back gigging when everything opens up. Let's look for another drummer. This is where the downfall of the band. Yeah. This is where our luck starts to run out. The old classic finding a drummer problem. So I think the first drummer we managed to get was a lad called Oscar. And to be fair on Oscar, he was like shit hot. I think he was a bit too shit hot sometimes, and he kind of needed to like chill out a bit. But kind of for the music we did, it worked quite well. He was a young lad, and we were like quite excited to have him on board and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we, started getting our gigs sorted and started like booking in time to record and all stuff like that. He seemed like very keen at the time, stuff like that. Things were going well. We played our like first gig after like everything opened up and all stuff like that. And that was like a very good gig. It was like, like a real like kind of comeback, kind of like welcome back to gigging kind of gig. I really enjoyed that.
I thought that was the best one we ever did, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that, and then we were gearing up to do more. We were like scheduled to play like Farmageddon, which, if anyone doesn't know, is like kind of like a big like Halloween event thing around this area where we live. It's basically like kind of like one of them places where you go and there's like like people dressed up and there's like they chase you around the crop fields and stuff like that. And so with in our eyes that like seemed like massive because it was always like a sold out like all month throughout Halloween event, and it was going to be like live streamed onto their website and stuff. And we were like buzzing, and Oscar just decided to quit out the blue, which was very nice of him. So we kind of panicked and we were like, shit, what are we gonna do? Luckily we found a guy who was willing to just drum for that one gig. I can't even Dan, I think his name was. He was a proper like professional doing it for years and that, didn't he? He did quite a good job of literally like coming in, learning the songs. Obviously we had to like keep it like a short and tight set and we couldn't play around too much, but he did the job and we played the gig. And it was disappointing. As they can be. They completely messed up the live stream. No one could hear us, so everyone that had told to listen to it at home couldn't hear anything. So that was a bit upsetting. So then after that, again, we needed to find ourselves a full-time drummer. We came across another lad called Carl.
There were others before that.
There were others, but I just want to get straight to like the ones that we actually, the ones that were actually had their names in the band. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we had Carl, and kind of same thing again. Carl could do what he needed to do, right? And we were like, right, let's get back to it again, back to where we were. Brush the dust off our feet, kind of thing. Yeah. Start booking gigs, getting everything sorted. Writing more songs and really working on stuff and feeling like the band was like back in working order again. And we played 2 gigs and Carl.
Three.
Was it 3?
We did one. Jimmy's, one in Preston at the
Did we do
Ferrets.
one at Jimmy's with Carl?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Because that was the first time I ever looked out and saw the crowd singing our songs.
Was that with Carl?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Alright.
Because we did two at Jimmy's. One was with Oscar, one was, I'm sure, the other one.
I think we did one with Lisa though, like one last one with
Was
Lisa.
it Lisa?
Yeah, I think it might have been Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we definitely did two with Carl. It was the Ferret,
Okay.
and it was Zanzibar. So basically, at Zanzibar, he kind of had a bit of a sulk on him that night. I don't quite know what was up with him.
Yeah.
And then when we were playing, he was kind of like playing a bit too slow. Or it sounded to me like it was being played too slow. So like after a song finished, I kind of just like whispered over to him by his ear, just like, Carl, can you just like, speed it up a bit please, mate? And he sorted his ass completely. He just like started like shouting and being like, "Ah, da, da." But the thing was, is like all the monitors and that were set up, so we could hear ourselves in the monitor, and I could hear him like having a go at me in the monitor. So obviously, like the crowd could hear it. And I was like, "Fucking!" So I just started playing immediately and like went straight into the next song. And then he played the rest of the set twice as fast.
Yeah.
Like to spite us. We finished the set. I was like, "Oh, that was good." That he's literally grabbing his gear up and he just goes out the door. And then we're like stood around going, "I think Carl's just gone to put stuff in the car to wait for him." And we were there for like a good 20, 30 minutes, weren't we? And he just didn't show back up.
Yeah.
So we were like, "Oh, fuck," you know what I mean? So we go over and message him like, "Carl, are you all right, mate? What's up? Have you got a problem? Because, like, if you've got a problem, just tell us your problem." And he just came back going like, "No, no, lads, I haven't got a problem. Like, it's all good. Like, I don't know. Blah, 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 blah." Next day, he just messages us going like, "Yeah, guys, I'm leaving the band because I'm going to pursue my own solo."
That's
Like,
right.
yeah.
He said he had something. Did he say he had a record deal?
Yeah, he said they had a record deal with like Sony Music lined up, and he didn't. He said he had some kind of like record label showing interest, and he was going to pursue it, stuff like that. I think like I just said, right, fuck off,
Yeah.
dickhead. And we tried looking for it a bit longer, and we've just weren't like getting anywhere with it. So this kind of brings us to now, where we're kind of in like a state of limbo, where it's like we're still eager to like start it back up, but at the same time, it's like the thought of having to go and search for a drummer again is like really like God. Because I think we did try it. Was it last year?
Yeah.
We tried it, and it was like similar thing where like girl came down and she played with us, and we were like, all right, come back next week and we'll keep at it. And then it was like week after week, it was like excuse after excuse.
Yeah.
And then she just like vanished. And then we're like, right, well, I'm guessing she just like kicked herself out of the band. And then like out of nowhere, she'd like pop back up again and be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm still interested. I've just like, come down to this like poetry night and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're like, no, you come down to practice night and then maybe we'll come to poetry night, but I was like,
I was never going to a fucking poetry night.
Punk poetry, I think it was.
No chance.
Yeah, so that kind of takes us. That's pretty much the history of the band, really. I think we do have plans to record more music and the likes of that, and that should hopefully be soon. Obviously, we're both very busy people these days, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to self-produce, aren't we? So.
Yeah. So basically, you've kind of been like cluing yourself up all on like recording and producing, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you've been doing which is a perfect time to promote your stuff if you want. You've been doing your own stuff, haven't you?
Yeah. I'll have stuff out quite soon, so there'll be stuff with just my solo stuff, which is called Sharker's Attack. I wish I'd picked a different name now, but there we are. And some stuff with my brother as well, who's actually quite a good singer.
Unlike me.
Well, he does more like sort of bedwetting music, to be fair.
Yeah.
So he would never have been suitable for the band, I don't think.
No.
But yeah, that's the intention. Hopefully to even get work as a producer at some point. I've got a couple of things lined up as well. And I'm just building my own tutoring business as well. So I've got quite a lot going on.
So we'll get into. I've got a few little things that we can talk about before we kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
And that's basically the history of the band, though, in a nutshell. So memorable gigs. Obviously, we kind of did discuss a few of them before, but which would you say were like some of the good ones that really stood out?
I think there was some outposts that we did which were good.
Yeah. So the thing with Outpost was like they were like ones we kind of like put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we kind of booked the venue and we like curated the bands and stuff like that. And although it was pretty stressful, and there was a time I kind of snapped at Lisa because she was late because she was getting a Subway sandwich when we were literally when we were literally playing in a pizza restaurant where they gave us free pizza, and she came in with a Subway sandwich, and I was like, Lisa, you're late. Where the hell have you been? She was, oh, I had to go Subway for some food. I was like, we're playing in a pizza.
What did her boyfriend say?
Oh, so yeah, let me try and think. So she goes, we had to get some food because we were hungry, and I said, we're playing in a pizza bar, and then she said we didn't have much money, so I said, the pizza's free. I told you this. And then I think the fella that she was with was just like, it's all right, Gail, don't worry about it. Like, it's okay. I was like, kind of like sitting there going, it's fucking not okay. I needed you, Lisa. It was like, like first band's on in 5 minutes. They've been running the place on me own. Yeah.
I wasn't there, but
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'd agree with you there. I think both Jimmy's and Outpost gigs were always
Jamie
like
good,
very good ones.
And then the second to last one we did in Preston.
Oh yeah, the ferret, yeah, that was very good as well. Yeah. Bad gigs. What some of your bad gigs?
So there was one we did in Runcorn. Oh God. So we turned up. They told places will tell you to turn up at like 6 o'clock when you're not on until like 10:30, and they'll do this for reasons I'm yet to understand. So we got there at 6 o'clock. Nobody was there until 6:30. So we stood outside like a bunch of fucking lemons until 6:30.
Yeah.
We got in there, sound checked, and then there's not a great deal to do in Runcorn at the best of times. And I think I was driving Lisa and you were driving yourself, weren't you?
Yeah.
Neither John or I could even have a drink whilst we were waiting. And the first band went on. There was a decent crowd there for that, but everyone went home after that because it was their first gig.
Yeah, they brought like all their mummies and daddies and aunties and uncles and that, didn't they?
And then we got on about 10:15. There was just nobody there at that point. And then another band who we'd offered to lend some equipment to came on after that.
Big mistake.
It was a big mistake because there was still nobody there for that. And then right at the last minute, as they're finishing their last song, some drunk comes in and she screams, "Do one more." So they played 8 fucking minutes of Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was so angry.
And
I don't even think that girl stayed.
No,
it was a setup.
That was the one time I've ever been to Runcorn. I don't think I'll go again.
I used to work there, so I think that was another thing that made that gig really bad for me was the fact that like I was telling everyone in work I'm playing a gig in Runcorn because like the people I worked with were like boomer, northerners, and like they were like, "Are you in band? Oh, I want to hear that." So I was like, yeah, well, here's your chance. Come down to the Alchemy on like Friday night, 7 o'clock, and fucking you can see us out of work. We could have like drinks or whatever and all that. You can finally see my band that you keep like constantly asking me about and all that. And fucking, I think one mate from work turned up, with his missus, and I kind of wish he didn't because it was just even more embarrassing. Yeah. And no one else did, so I was particularly like pissed off about that. And then, as I say, at the end of the gig, I just wanted to fucking go home and wallow in me misery. Yeah. And then this last band needed me bass amp, fair enough. The set just seems to drag on forever, and like it was empty when we were there, but it was empty when they came on. Like there was no one. At least when we were there, there was like a table of old people playing cards at the back. Like they'd gone by that point. There was no one in there except for the bar staff, me, Jamie. I think Lisa got train
I
home.
must want to take Lisa
Yeah.
very much.
So Lisa was around somewhere, yeah, and me mate from work, and yeah, this fucking drunk girl comes swinging in like the saloon doors of a Western, screams encore, all the faces light up, and like, oh, well, yeah, let's do it. I was just like, fucking kill me now. I remember just driving home so angry that night, just like the hands shaking on the way, like fucking that fucking girl, fucking asking.
That was terrible. That gig.
That was,
Another one was Night and Day in Manchester.
yeah.
That was empty. They made us sign like some disclosure as well about. Do you
Can't
remember
remember
that?
that.
Yeah,
No.
we all had to sign something before we went on. I already hated Night and Day because I'd had a bad experience in there before.
See, I had good gigs in there up till then. I just remember that being a bit of a nothing gig. It was like wasn't great, but it wasn't like terrible either.
It's just there was nobody there, and
Yeah.
there was a point where.
It,
So this is quite like one of the funny things I remember. The part in Alan Partridge where he's at the fair.
yeah. This was
And he
Runcorn.
goes,
You're getting confused with
was it
Runcorn.
Runcorn?
Yeah,
The same
yeah.
place? And you said, you're not even listening.
Yeah, I think it was like you're trying to do the stage shatter and stuff like that, and I can't remember what I said, but like like not a single head turned round
Yeah.
from that table at the back of old men playing cards. I was like, oh, you don't give a fuck, do you? Turn around to you two, well, let's just play fucking two more songs and fuck off.
Yeah. Go on then, fair enough. But
Yeah, that was rock on that. I remember that one. I think Night and Day was just like okay. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is actually, I'm going to ask you one more thing. What was your favourite song of ours?
it was actually an unreleased one called Care.
Yeah, Care's good, and we should get that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were actually a couple of other things I wanted to mention.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So from that last gig that we did with Carl, there was a couple of things that happened at that. So your telly got knocked off by a drummer.
Yeah,
And
so
then you were slagging him off outside and realised he was stood next to you.
shit, was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh fuck. Yeah, so basically the TV, to just quickly explain that, is like we got to a point where we like wanted to kind of like have a stage set up, and I'd found like from like fucking Facebook Marketplace or whatever these CRT TVs, like proper old school TVs, like you'd have back in the day, like you talk like early 2000s in your room with like built-in video players in them.
Yeah.
So I did this whole like elaborate thing where I made a YouTube video of just our logo, like with static, and then I put that I played that off YouTube off my telly off a PlayStation 3, and then I had a VCR connected up to it, and I recorded it onto a tape, onto like a blank tape, and then I recorded that for 2 hours, and then I put it in the tape. So when we were playing live, we had like basically screens, these two TVs, and it would like have our logo on it, which to be honest I thought was like really cool. You also put like loads of like cassette tape around like the mic stands and stuff like that. Yeah, so I kind of set it up obviously because we were like the headliner, and it was like we can get it all set up now. Obviously the other bands shouldn't like do anything to it. And the band that played was just like the drummer was just going so fucking like mental. Like he was playing too hard to the point where the drum kit was like being pushed forward, and he kept having to fucking pull it back. He was like, obviously you need to like just chill out a bit, mate. Like we can hear you, because he was fucking banging so hard that I kept seeing the telly shake. I was just sitting there going like, oh no, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. And then all I heard was like fucking bang on the floor. I was like, oh fuck's sake. Fucking the band didn't do it. The band just carries on playing. I was just like, fucking God's sake, please don't be broke. So like we pick it back up, we turn it back on, and of course it's fucking broke.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well that's fucking great, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I remember that. That was basically the TVs.
And then the same gig, we did our first song, and there was some fella who was on the disability, and he had one of these crutches, but then starts launching it. He starts throwing chairs and stuff like that.
See, I thought it was cool at first because I was like, oh, this is quite punk. There's like some guy going fucking mental. And I was kind of like encouraging him a bit, going like, yeah, come on, man, yeah, like fucking get a bit of this. And the next thing, I just see a stool from one end of the room fly across to the other end of the room. I'm going like bang, and I'm like, I'm there playing, but they're going like into the microphone, like chill out, fucking chill out, mate. And then the bouncers come in and they fucking dragged him out, and I'm like, no, keep him. He's actually a good.
There is a video of it, actually.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's like you can see us playing, and you don't see the stool because I don't think the camera quality is like that high, but you just see like a blip go past, don't you? And you just hear the. I was terrified he was going to throw something else.
I'm sure you can see it in my eyes.
Yeah.
God, am I going to get you there? And then there was, I don't know if you remember, for a while we were auditioning other guitarists, and there was one who
Luke.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But he had this guitar so fucking loud.
Yeah.
And just my ears were ringing for days. We tried to tell him to turn it down.
Yeah.
And then he didn't like that and fucked off.
Yeah, we kind of, so basically we kind of like went. We kind of like skimmed past that period of the band, but I think at one point, just because of like obviously when we were recording songs, we were like doing like multiple like layers of guitar on it and stuff like that. And to be honest, I think you were always like kind of against it, weren't you? But I was kind of saying like, look, it might be good to get a second guitarist on board so we can kind of have the same sound as we do on the recordings and stuff like that. And we said, if it's just someone who's there to play like a bit of rhythm or something, it's sound. And we got this lad on board, and like, yeah, he was a pure like thrash metalhead, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And like everything just like everything he put over it was just the typical like thrash metal, like dun 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 dugga dugga. And he plays so loud, and he had so many pedals all connected to his pedal board that like all you could hear was this horrible like screeching noise like all the time. And then like he was like, I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know what's wrong with it and all that. I think eventually I just snapped and went, like, mate, unplug your pedals. It was like, how many of them pedals are you using? There were two. I was like, well, fucking turn all the others off then. And he saw his ass after that and he fucked off, didn't he? Yeah, fuck you know. That's it. Like, I think, to be honest, we can probably get more episodes out of stuff like this, but like, there aren't half some characters in the music world.
Yeah. Yeah, like a few off the top of me.
Yeah, there's certainly the ones that stick with you, and you're just like, man, you were something else, you. So what we're gonna do now is there's this Facebook page that kind of basically perfectly like sums up kind of things that happen in local bands. I stumbled across it a while ago, and like basically the stuff they post is just so accurate and so kind of true to like the kind of things that either we've gone through or we've seen other bands go through. So the Facebook page is called Things Local Musicians Do. And it really does like just ring home. So I'm going to like just blindly read some of these off now, and we'll kind of like react to them a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've got one here where it's playing the babumtis drum fill after your singer makes a bad joke on stage. Yeah. So
definitely seen that.
Yes. So one of the most awkward things to do is kind of like the stuff in between the songs, and like I always would really try my best to make as little time in between songs as possible, because the one thing like that really annoyed me with like watching other bands was when they'd kind of like stop a song and then spend ages like messing with their instruments or not saying anything or having their backs turned to the crowd. So I'd always try and keep the chit chat a bit low and stuff like that. But like, you always had that band that they would just kind of like go on and on and on. And then like they would say a joke and the drummer would do the little buying 50 picks, losing 48 of them. I think that's more for you, that.
Yeah. You hate picks.
I hate, but I don't play with picks. I play purely with my fingers, nothing else. Your band fizzling out because you couldn't find a full-time drummer.
Yeah. Yeah, that rings true.
Yeah, that's a bit close to home, that, isn't it? Hoping people get the clever reference in your band name. I don't really think we had much of a clever reference in the band name, but...
The reason I suggested Saturn Split was to wind up a couple of scientists on you, because it was...
I never knew that. Yeah. We didn't even really go into that, did we?
No.
The band name. I think we were just spitballing and that came out, yeah. Bassists, your biannual reminder to change your strings. I've recently changed my strings, but that was the first time restringing that bass since I got it, which was for my birthday in 2021 or 2022. 2022, I think.
I've had a bass since I when 2016 maybe, and I've had to change one string on it in all that time.
At what age did you realise that being a famous rock star, incredibly unlikely regardless of your skill or effort, and what your current goals as a musician? Do you ever think that you'd make it and you'd be,
Yeah,
yeah.
for years I was convinced it was what I was put on this earth to do. But when did I realise it wasn't going to happen? I don't know. I don't even know if I have accepted it.
Yeah, same me. I always kind of think like, it still could happen.
Yeah,
I remember like when I was like a teenager and I didn't actually even play any instruments. So I was like, I'm gonna get a band and we're gonna like, whoa,
yeah. I was just
like, and then like you get to your 20s, you're like, I'm still me 20s, still me 20s, and I'm like coming up to 33, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I could become a popular podcaster instead. And that's a whole new rabbit hole I can run down and fail at.
just lie about your age. Be 20 forever. So,
Completing a track and just listening to it on loop, I've definitely 100% done that. Yeah, that's a common one. Putting official on your usernames so don't people differentiate you from all those unofficial accounts.
yeah, I don't think we've done that, have we?
I think maybe I've done it once or twice just for like not usernames, but like like the handlebar and stuff like that. Just because like obviously like I don't think Saturn Split was ever taken up, but it was just like just in case.
If you search it in Google, it brings up some like Indian mystic thing.
Yeah. And
That's
there
the
was like
name.
a book on Amazon, I remember, because I used to do all stuff like that. Like, I used to constantly Google the band name and like put it into like stuff like Amazon and stuff like that, see what would come up. To be fair, if you Google us, we do have like a decent, like, the way Google works is like it is all like mapped out in there. We do, all our stuff is on, still is and still will be on all like streaming sites and stuff like that. So I'll obviously put links in the description when this episode comes out. Don't actually know when this episode will come out yet. This is the first episode of the show I'm actually doing, but it might not come out first, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll put any important links to our songs or anything like that on episode when it's out on whatever streaming platform of your choice is. Jamie, is there anything you want to say or get people to go to or anything like that before we wrap this up?
Yeah, just look out for Shark as Attack on Spotify and Amazon and Bandcamp actually, because they pay me properly. Give us a follow. I'll have my first self-produced stuff out soon. It's a bit different from, or the direction I'm going in is a bit different from Saturn Split. So yeah, I think there'll be something there. So there should be something there for everybody, really.
Yeah, and all I'll be doing is more of this.
Yeah.
Which is great. Anyway, Jamie, it's been great having you on.
Yeah.
I think that we can bring you back at some point and we can delve more into the world of music and bands and stuff like that.
Sounds good.
We've barely just scratched the surface. We can definitely explore more of the levels of insanity.
Yeah.
Exploring local bands in Liverpool and beyond. Anyway, this was the Who Asked for This podcast. I haven't actually got any social medias or anything set up yet because this is the first ever episode. But at this point at the end of the episode is when I'll be telling you to go on them. But just in the off chance that I have done all them, please search the Who Asked for This podcast on Facebook, Instagram, X, not Twitter anymore, Discord, Bandcamp, YouTube, Pornhub. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.